Now, I'm pretty sure some of y'all have heard of the prophecy of Judah Ben Samuel, Jubilee year prophecy timeline. So he made his prophecies in 1217. He was a Jewish mystic. He's from Germany. In 1217, Rabbi Judah Ben Samuel prophesied of the Turks controlling Jerusalem for 8 Jubilees. A Jubilee on God's calendar is 50 years, Leviticus 25. The rabbi then said in the 9th Jubilee, Jerusalem would be a no man's land, after which Jerusalem would go back to his people for the 10th Jubilee. The rabbi then said the 11th Jubilee would mark the start of the Messianic era. Actually, technically, is after the 10th Jubilee. So there won't be 121 Jubilees. God is not a liar. It's not mocked. That a man should tell the truth and God should be a liar. But so 1517 starts the Turks' control of Jerusalem. 1916 to 17, the end of the Turks' control of Jerusalem. 1966-67, the Jews back in control of Jerusalem. 2016 to 17, Messianic era begins. The millennial rule of Christ. I seem to believe that if the tribulation period would start this year, it could start any other year. 2021, 28, whatever. But if it starts this year, in 2017, then the tribulation period will be over in 2024. So, in Genesis 6:3, God told Noah that man's time on earth would be 120 years. Now, we can always say that this is 120 years from the time that he begins to build the boat. That's how much time that they have left, which I agree with also. And also you can say, well, man's 120 years on earth. And we know by now that people die early in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. But you can say that too, that God told Noah that man's life would be 120 years max. But if you read Leviticus chapter 25, 23 to 25, those chapters will talk about Jubilee cycle. Some people are saying, well, is it 49 years or is it 50 years? Now, when you look at this chart right here, you see that Abraham was born and Noah died after 2,000 years, the first 2,000 years or 40 Jubilees. And then you can see the Exodus, the 50th Jubilee, the temple completed in the 60th Jubilee. The 70th Jubilee was the decree to restore Jerusalem. The 80th Jubilee is when Christ's first coming. And the 120th Jubilee is 2,000 years later, which is at the current time that we live in right now. So where do you pick up at to distinguish between when the Jubilee counts continued on from Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, or even Adam and Eve, which that's where it starts at. 120 Jubilees will start from Adam and Eve to the present time that we live in. Where are we now on that Jubilee clock? And I suggest you go and read Leviticus chapter 25 to see what we're talking about here. Now, the Jubilee is a 50-year period. And the 7 years, and the 50 years are divided into 7 years. Actually, the 49 years is divided into 7 years. And then you add one more year at the end to give you your Jubilee count. as you look at this calendar right here, look at the top. It says that the last Jubilee ended, which is Jubilee number 10 for Rabbi Judah Ben Samuel. Prediction. He's been accurate so far. So the Jubilee ended in 1967 and traveled all the way up, began in 1967 and traveled all the way up to 2017 with the 50th year Jubilee. Now, some people believe that the 2015 and 2016 was the end of the Jubilee, which I believe that the blood moons was the last blood moon was in October 2015, and I believe that blood moon was pointing to the 49th year. So it'd be a 49th year, and then it'd be a 50 year. And at the end of the 50 years, the day of the Lord will come. So just keep that in mind. The day of the Lord will come after the 50th year, which is 2016 to 2017. And let us just review Rabbi Judah Ben Samuel's prophecy that there will be 10 Jubilees of 500 years. And this would take place, so he died in 1217, somewhere around there. So 300 years later, in 1517, the Turks took Jerusalem, and that's what he said would happen. And then 400 years later, in 1917, Turks will lose Jerusalem in a war, in World War I. And then in the 8th Jubilee, the land would be a no man's land. And matter of fact, there was a parcel of land that they called no man's land in Jerusalem, or in that area. Then in the 9th Jubilee, Israel will regain Zion, or regain Jerusalem, in the 6-Day War. And that happened in the 6-Day War in 1967. And it had blood moons there, which we'll talk about in a future show. And then 2017, which is 50 years. So if you count 1917 to 1967, it's 50 years. And 1967 to 2017 is 50 years. Some people are still trying to figure out when is it just doesn't take much to realize that 1967, 50 years later, 2017 would be the count of the 10th Jubilee. And we're there, folks. We're there. This is 2017 that I'm making this video in. Hey, how y'all doing? This is just a test. This is a test. I am trying to test my levels, and I'm trying to fix this stupid camera. Stupid camera. Test. Test. How y'all doing?